All right, it is 4:30. This is November 5th, 2024. We are the Carmel-by-the-Sea City Council. Nova, could we get a roll call, please?
Sure. Councilmember Barron?
Here.
Councilmember Dramoff?
Here.
Councilmember Ferlito? Here. Mayor Pro Tem Richards?
Here.
Mayor Potter?
Here.
All are present.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, so we have Carmel High School report. I believe Visva, you're here. There he is. Welcome.
Council members, I'm the representative for the Carmel High School, and I would like to share some things with you. Starting off, I would like to thank the city for the homecoming parade, and the homecoming dance was a success with over 500 attendees. We have the shoe week going on currently with the shoe game on Friday at NPC. Some updates are the Chicago Mock Trial World Championships are starting tomorrow and will go until next Tuesday. Fall sports are finishing up, and our boys water polo has a CCS playoff game at SoCal this weekend. Girls volleyball have a CCS quarterfinals home game today, and if they win, they'll be home again Thursday. Football is undefeated, and we're waiting for CCS information after the shoe game. Winter sports are starting, and we'll be celebrating Friendsgiving in 2 weeks, and all proceeds will go to the Monterey County Food Bank. We will also have the CASA gift drive the week before Thanksgiving break. I would also like to talk about the CHS sports and clubs who are actively seeking sponsorships from local businesses for club events and their sports. And as a president of the Red Cross Club, I would like to advocate for business sponsorships for our events such as Measles and Rubella campaign, Hurricane Relief Fundraiser, and an upcoming March blood drive. If any local businesses are interested, we would like them to contact Miss Aubrey Powers for more information. Thank you.
Thank you. Very well done. Appreciate it. Our next item is public appearances. This is an opportunity for any member of the public to testify on an item that is not on tonight's agenda. Is there anybody wishing to do so? Here come Michael Assis. Thank you. Thank you very much. First lady. Now we can see better. Thank you. All righty.
Good evening, Nancy Toomey here. Just wanted to extend my extra special thanks to the community activities and all the rest of the city departments that participated in making the Halloween parade and the pumpkin roll all just absolutely phenomenal events, and continue to extend our appreciation to our police department for all of what they've been through in the last couple of weeks in keeping us safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Appreciate it. Anybody else wishing to speak tonight?
Good evening. I want to read an email that I sent to the council. It's regarding the property at Rio Park, east of Dolores and Lauren Drive, Carmel-by-the-Sea. I read about this in the agenda packet for Monday's closed session. I feel that the council should not be discussing these negotiations in closed session before it is brought to the public first in an open session so that the public can weigh in on whether they want the project. I've been talking about transparency and community involvement since January. And I feel that these issues have been brought up by other people as well as concerns from our residents. So this process needs to change. In addition, this land is also under consideration for affordable housing, a high priority topic for our community, and it should not be considered for any other capacity until that topic is resolved.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Is there anybody else wishing to speak tonight?
Mayor Potter, members of the City Council, and city staff. My name is Cindy Lloyd. 59 years ago, on February 4th, 1965, on the 50th anniversary publication of the Carmel Pinecone, in the editor's column was written, and I quote, "The Carmel Pinecone has been published 2,590 times before today. In the bound volumes kept in the editorial office is the history of Carmel from the year before it became a city until today. What a fascinating story of people, and what people. But it seems, after studying the records of the past 50 years, that the people of Carmel do not change. They will fight for and against any civic proposal. But that is where the secret of Carmel lies. Carmelites are politically alert. They form their opinions. They defend their rights. They love their town. And after issues have been debated and decided in a democratic way, they hold no grudges. The person who was an opponent yesterday is a friend today, and probably ready and willing to battle side by side with his or her former foe on another issue. So the years have passed. This edition is dedicated to each and every Carmelite of the past 50 years, a precious crew, signed with the initials ML. The column was written by the editor of the Pinecone, my mother, Marjorie Lloyd. May her words of the past remain true today, that we all remain friends after today's votes have been not cast and counted for mayor and council, and that we work together to preserve Carmel-by-the-Sea, the town we love. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate it. Very nicely done. Is there anybody else wish to speak tonight? Anybody on Zoom and over?
Yes, we have a few hands raised. Sylvia, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I would like to draw the public's attention to the Bucola versus Boucher federal case, available on Pacer for public viewing. In this case, Mr. Rarig, in his private capacity, is a defendant. Mr. Rarig and the city of Carmel attempted to be represented by the non-local, LA-based firm of Carpenter Rothens Dumont. As counsel for Carpenter Rothens Dumont, Mr. Rothens and Mr. Redford both failed to formally appear, and Mr. Redford made the staggering blunder of forgetting to become admitted to practice within the Northern District. This allegedly cost Mr. Redford his 20-year partnership with the firm. The firm then withdrew Mr. Redford from the case and replaced him with Mr. Fay, who may have committed perjury at least once in defense of Mr. Redford, and Ms. Teixeira, who also failed to become admitted to practice within that court, making the identical error as Mr. Redford. At document number 283, the public can read for themselves Judge Cousins' own words that Carpenter Rothens Dumont, the entire firm, is now under investigation for, quote, the firm's appearances in this case, but also with the firm's adherence to the local rules in all matters in which they appear before the court. In sum, the court remains concerned that the actions of Redford and Teixeira in this matter reflect a water pattern or practice of unprofessional conduct at Carpenter Rothens and Dumont LLP. Because the court has caused to believe the attorney's unprofessional conduct occurred during their employment with the firm, the court refers Carpenter Rothens and Dumont LLP to the Standing Committee on Professional Conduct for the Northern District. The Standing Committee can investigate further and implement a remedial plan or other disciplinary measures as it deems appropriate, end quote. We don't have any judge in this case to thank for his or her due diligence in policing the court. We don't have Carpenter Rothens Dumont to thank for any timely confessions of these errors. We don't even have our own city council to thank for being mindful of its own affairs. We have Ms. Bukola to thank for her due diligence in discovering these errors within her own case. And I'm not sure if Mr. Rehrig is aware of some of the potentially false claims that this same firm made on his behalf regarding why he could not appear himself at the settlement conference in which Ms. Bukola requested. And remember, people, you paid for this, and I yield.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Phone number ending in 705. Phone number, yeah. Go ahead.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. Senator Laird professes to be an aggressive activist towards climate change. But he did allocate $1 million plus tax dollars to eliminate eucalyptus trees. I am appealing to you to spare as many eucalyptus trees as you can for the following reasons. The blue gum can live up to 400 years, and the bees love them, the monarchs love them, the birds and all manner of wildlife and insects love them. And our forefathers planted them as fire and windbreaks. At Angel Island, where thousands of eucalyptus trees grew, there was never any fires. However, the Native Plant Society came in and insisted they were a fire hazard, and as non-natives and fire hazards should be removed. The California Department of Parks and Recreations tried to restore Angel Island to its native flora and reduce fire danger by cutting down thousands of these eucalyptus trees. But the project became an unintended demonstration of how forests suppress fires. 8 years after the removal of the eucalyptus forest, the first wildfire occurred, burning 1.5 acres. And several years later, a huge fire came, accelerated by enormous winds that incinerated 380 acres of brush, grasses, and oak trees. This was over half the island's 740 acres. The 6 acres of eucalyptus trees left standing around buildings survived the fire because their wind and fire breakability and the transpiration and fog drips from their leaves. Now, no one seems to want to learn that lesson. Recently, a judge ruled that the U.S. Forest Service could not thin the forest because of the facts revealed thinning the forest causes wildfires. I am asking that it's time for us to reevaluate these magnificent trees. Even because they're non-native, they are vacuum cleaners for our greenhouse gases. They store in their 100-year-old trunks 1 ton of carbon a year and give us 260 pounds of oxygen a year. And they also harbor all the car pollutants that are now causing Alzheimer's and dementia in our brains and our children's brains, and that's a fact. So I'm asking you to please reconsider and save these magnificent trees, because it's going to take another 200 years for them to grow, and I don't think we're going to survive that long, you know? So you are a tree capital of the world, and I know you treasure your trees, so I hope all of you really look at trees as huge carbon sinks and not fire hazards. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is number 83837, I believe.
Hello, Mayor Potter and members of the City Council. This is Brian Rosen here. Nice to talk to you again. You know, first of all, before I start my little speech, I want to mention there's a horrible crisis. We all have it so good. Imagine if you were a Palestinian where they're gunning down little children, shooting them in the head. They're finding mass graves. We did, not all of us, but some of our ancestors did similar things to the Native Americans, and there's a terrible genocidal thing going on over there, and it would be really nice if people of Carmel, if you could really insist that your city council pass a resolution against this senseless violence. Who's ever heard about a government giving billions of dollars without condition, and it's only inflaming and making everything worse over there. It's better to be even-handed and non-partial. So this is a terrible tragedy, this genocidal thing, and these people deserve to live too. We all deserve to live, and we're all important. All human beings are important, and I don't believe in collective punishment, and I think it's wrong, and I hope you do too. Now, I want to talk briefly about when you get on Highway 1, coming into town or leaving town, you're off the Del Monte on-ramp and you're on the freeway. It's 4.0 miles to the marina off-ramp on Del Monte. And now they're spending almost well, it's $91 million to bypass 4 miles of freeway traffic. Well, what about the rest of the miles from Castroville to Carmel? They stay crowded, and Mayor Potter and Jeff Barron are kind of responsible because they've been going along with this ridiculous surf project that's going to destroy the second most important sand dunes in California. Significant disruption. And no wonder we never have money to do things like bring rail back to Monterey, which would bypass many miles of traffic and be a lot less environmentally destructive. Now, Mayor Potter, you've been a real champion in the past for bringing rail back. So you're a member of a powerful agency, the Transportation Agency for Monterey County. Will you please make them hurry this up and make it a priority and have they have an it's impossible attitude. They put all this money towards roads and boondoggle projects, and meanwhile the traffic gets worse and worse, and we keep talking about global warming, but we keep increasing the traffic. We do Band-Aid solutions like thinning forests that can heat up the forest and wipe out windbreaks and attacking global warming. But wouldn't it be wonderful? Europe puts trains in really quickly. They even have old steam trains on old tracks in Yugoslavia that look like the tracks haven't been repaired. I mean, not Yugoslavia, Transylvania and Romania, that haven't, it looks like the tracks are worse than the ones between that they claim are no good, that they say we can't put a train. Thank you, Mayor Potter and City Council. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Is there anybody else wishing to testify tonight?
There's no more hands raised.
Is there anybody else in the room here tonight? I don't see anybody who close public comment, bring it back to council, and go ahead to city announcements. City Administrator Chip.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we need to switch the agenda around so I can steal Ms. Toomey's comments in the future. My only announcement today is just my profound, unwavering thanks to our professional staff who are just stalwart in the service of this community. My hat remains off to you. Thank you, staff, for everything that you do.
City Attorney Brian.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I wanted to say that the City Council met in closed session yesterday regarding Rio Park. While there is no reportable action from that closed session, I can tell you that the City Council is in discussions with the Carmel Area Wastewater District about potential options regarding Rio Park. And prior to taking any action regarding Rio Park, there will be an open session item on a future City Council agenda for discussion of those options and an opportunity for input from the public. And that's the end of my statements.
Thank you, Brian. Look to council members. Council member comments.
Yeah.
Bobby Richards.
Yeah, I want to. Yesterday we celebrated what our staff team did yesterday, our Mission Trail over the past few months. And I'd like to just bring it up at today's meeting. It was pretty amazing what this team accomplished over the past 6 months. And if you get a chance to go up to the Mission Trails and see the new bridge and see the bark that was laid out and the protection that they've done, it was really pretty impressive, and they did a great job. And I think that I just wanted to bring that to Tuesday's meeting so it wasn't lost on a Monday. The second thing was, I appreciated what the young man said about Carmel High. I forgot to mention Mac Aldi just set another Central Coast record on one of the cross-country courses, and he's destined to be probably one of the state finalists for California State Cross Country. So congratulations to Mac. The other thing was I wanted to mention about Mayor Potter winning the first annual pumpkin roll-off against Mayor Mayor Williams from Monterey. It was a great event, and Mayor Potter went head-to-head with Mayor Williams, while former Mayor Dallas started him off. And it was a great event, and staff, you did a great job, and thanks a lot for that. And then I'd also like to thank a special guest traveling from a little over 3,000 miles away. Thanks for coming tonight, and that's it.
Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate it. Jeff?
No problem.
Alessandra?
Thanks, Mayor. Just a real brief echo of Nancy Toomey's comments. I just wanted to thank the city and everyone who took part in the Halloween parade last Thursday. It was a lot of fun and really good turnout. And also wanted to say happy 108th birthday to our city.
Karen?
Yes, I have the pleasure of serving as the city representative for Tor House. And I just got an announcement today from Elliot that thanks to the this is coming from Experts' Choice in AARP. It says, thanks to the outstanding work you have done in presenting the work of Robinson Jeffers as stonemason and poet to the public, Tor House has received national recognition from Experts' Choice and AARP. Tor House was selected as a winner of the 2024 Experts' Choice Award. According to Experts' Choice, quote, the award honors Tor House as one of the top-rated attractions on the Central California coast. This year, less than 3% of eligible businesses received an award. Experts' Choice is the only industry award based on professional reviews. The data is sourced from over 120 publications, including travel guides, magazines, and newspapers. Experts' Choice cited reviews from Michelin Guide, Lonely Planet, and Fodors, with Fodors listing Tor House as one of the 5 best sites in the Monterey Bay Area. Experts' Choice Awards are regularly covered in major media, including the New York Times, The Guardian, and Vogue. There was also a story that appeared on AARP, and only 10 house museums, Tor House is considered a house museum, were listed, including Elvis Presley's Graceland, Hearst Castle, and the Mabel Dodge Lujan House. And I wanted to show you, this is on the AARP site, and it's our beautiful Tor House here in California, in Carmel. And if you haven't visited Tor House, they have tours on both Friday and Saturday, I believe, 2 days a week. And a little secret will be coming out soon, but they're about to receive national landmark status in the very near future. So Tor House is a wonderful place. It's a real asset to our community. It brings visitors here. There was a wonderful Tor House weekend just about 3 weekends ago with scientists and historians and Jeffers fans, and it was quite well done. So hopefully next year, maybe if you're interested, you'll be able to go to that Tor House weekend as well. But in the meantime, you can visit Tor House anytime.
Thank you, Karen. Far more settled in, let's see, Graceland or the Hearst Castle.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, well, I was at the League of California Cities recently with Chip and Brandon. Went down and had a very good conference. Heard from other cities about their conferences, their clashes with issues. It's very interesting. I was also reappointed to the board of directors for the Central Coast area, representing Monterey County, Santa Cruz County, and San Benito County. Quite an honor. So we continue to have a force there. It's a good time. So anyway, that was it. Ad hoc committee reports. We have an ad hoc committee action before us, but do we have any reports? Okay, none.
I guess we could report out on the ad hoc flock camera. I mean, we had a great meeting the other day. I think there was a lot of good questions. We had a representative from Flock Camera that came to via Zoom. But while we wanted to discuss it tonight, it's just not possible with the workload that the police force has right now. So hopefully we'll get to it December.
Appreciate that.
Could I just add to that. And so we've had 3 public meetings on the ad hoc committee for Flock, and just wanted to add that the Carmel Residents Association website, Nancy Toomey has really done a good job. There are videos of the meetings. There are also some news reports from the meetings, and there's all kinds of other materials and links. Some of them go to materials that were part of the city meetings, and others are just informational articles. So if you would like to find out more, that's a really great resource. So thank you, Nancy, for doing that.
Thank you, Alessandra. All right, why don't we move on to the orders of business for the evening. First item is organizing resolution 2024-090, approving a supplemental budget appropriation for the fiscal year 2024-025 budget to award a $1,000 discretionary grant to the Carmel High School mock trial team. Nova, are you going to handle this?
So basically, the Carmel High School mock trial team is requesting support from the council. They're looking for donations from 10 people for $1,000 or more to help fund their championship trip, which is out of state, so that all the students can attend to help cover those costs. So approval of this resolution would give the Carmel High School mock trial team $1,000 towards their donation goal.
Any questions of council of this item before we go out to the public? Is anybody in the public wishing to speak to this item? Mike?
I'm not sure if this is my clue or my cue to speak, but we just learned over the weekend about this contribution, and it is greatly appreciated. I've been asked, though, to speak for them. They're leaving early tomorrow morning for Chicago, and as soon as they get there, they have to go right into classes and prepare themselves for the trials that will be coming up. They'll be participating in. The Carmel Mock Trial Program is 20 years old this year, and they have been to 13 different competitions. The last time they went to the Empire World Championship, that was in 2016, and they won, which really shocked everybody. I think that put Carmel on the map. I'm sorry, that has put Carmel on the map. And they're really excited about this weekend, or this week, what will happen. And they'll be coming to a future meeting to show their appreciation. I always like to speak short and sweet and get it over with. So,
thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Is there anybody else wishing to speak tonight? Is anybody? Okay, we'll bring it back to the council for action.
I'll make the motion. You know, as we all know, that
Carmel-by-the-Sea does not have a school district. We have no schools in Carmel-by-the-Sea. So I would be happy to make a motion to approve this $1,000 grant to Carmel High School mock trial team.
I'd be happy to second that.
We're continuing the love. I think it's the most appropriate and very good. Oh, thank you. Okay, so we have any other discussion this evening? Nova, would you call a roll, please?
Councilmember Barron?
Yes.
Councilmember Dramoff?
Yes.
Councilmember Ferlito?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Richards?
Yes.
Mayor Potter?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All righty, thank you. Okay, and the next one is receiving a presentation from the Carmel Area Wastewater District to introduce the Santa Rita and Guadalupe Sewer Main Rehabilitation Project and authorize issuance of an encroachment permit with special conditions of approval. Bob?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. Well, Noah's pulling this up. I wanted to make just a few brief comments about this project before I introduce the representative Codd, who'll do the presentation. This is a very important project. We have very old fractured sewer pipes in the northeast corner of the city, and this project must be done. Public Works has been coordinating with our partners at Codd for over a year on this particular project, and we fully support it. We prepared 53 special conditions of approval for the proposed encroachment permit that we're asking council to approve tonight. And the special conditions is to minimize the construction impacts. However, the biggest way to minimize construction impacts is that the bulk of this project will be done by pipe bursting in place underground. They're not going to be very little open cut, cutting through the streets. Most of this work will be done underground. So no better way to get this project done. After the pipelines are reconstructed, Codd will pave all the affected streets with a microsurfacing treatment at no cost to the city. So I'd like to turn it over to Patrick Traynor. He's COD's district engineer. And following his presentation, Patrick or I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Bob. Welcome, Patrick.
Good evening. Okay. Thank you for hearing this presentation tonight. It's great to be able to talk about what we do to a captive audience. So we are the sewer district for Carmel-by-the-Sea and the Carmel area, and we were established in 1908. And this picture here is actually from 1938, so this is 30 years into our existence. And in the very early days, the sewer district was basically in charge of the community cesspools. So there was no wastewater treatment back then, but there was a concern about what to do with wastewater. And so, between 1908 and today, the city of Carmel-by-the-Sea and Carmel Area Wastewater District really kind of grew up together, I think, and the development of the city was very much afforded by the development of the sewer systems that we have today. And a lot of the sewer infrastructure is from the era that this picture was taken. So in the late 30s, the Franklin Delano Roosevelt administration, and you can see a lot of those pictures, or some Model T trucks in there, and that's our existing wastewater treatment plant site. Only one of those buildings is still standing. The one on the left is our lunchroom. But today we have much more modern facilities at the treatment plant. But a lot of the sewer pipes in the streets are still original from the 30s and 40s, when a lot of the houses were built in Carmel. And they're all made of clay. And that's on the left there, that's a picture of a clay pipe from our system. We have cameras, we inspect all of our sewers with these cameras, and you can see that one's really badly cracked. And on the right, you can see an example of how clay cracks. You've all had clay pots, and if they fall over, they break like that. So they are prone to falling apart like that. And what can happen is if that kind of damage happens, dirt can fall in the pipe, and you can have a sinkhole eventually. So we don't want sinkholes. Roots like to go into the sewer because there's water. So especially during droughts, you'll get a lot more roots going in through those cracks, and that'll cause blockages in the sewer system and overflows, and nobody likes a sewer overflow. So that's why we're doing this project, is to alleviate any of those issues from happening. And this is a overview of the project. So the area is, we call it Santa Rita and Guadalupe Street area, but it's north of Ocean and east of Winipero, in that residential area there. And the streets are listed there. It's a total of 1.6 miles of sewer. And as Bob mentioned, it's pipe bursting, so that's nice. There's a lot less actual digging up of the street, but every place where the house connects to the main line has to get dug up and reconnected. So there are, in front of every house, there's going to be a 3x3 trench dug down to make that connection to the new pipe. So because it's a linear project, the impacts of construction kind of move along the street. So it's probably a 6 to 9 month total project to do 1.6 miles, but each city block is only going to be impacted for 1 or 2 weeks. So it kind of, as it moves along. We tell people that, yeah, there's going to be some disturbance, but it's temporary. And this is, a generational project. So, to put it in perspective. And also the work's only going to be happening during the day, and in the evening everything gets buttoned up and put away, and it's quiet as usual in the evening, and the streets get reopened in the evening. during construction, like when they're on someone's street, and so we wanted to really make sure to be sensitive to people needing to get in and out of their house. So there might be road closures. There's not always a road closure. Sometimes it might just be, temporary stop while you go around the construction work. But if it's right in the middle of the street and there's no way to direct traffic through the construction area, then a road might need to be closed. But we're still going to let people who live on that street get to their house. So if it is a resident, they can come up to the person, doing the traffic control and say, I live over there, and they'll be able to go in and go into their driveway. And just to facilitate the construction, we would not allow street parking during that week or two on each block, just so that someone's car is not in the way when the construction's going on. And we are going to resurface all those streets that are impacted with microsurfacing. This is a question we get a lot. It's an important question. Is my sewer service going to be impacted at all? And the answer is no. We're going to ask when there's a 8-hour period when all of the private home laterals are going to get connected to the main line, and we're going to ask people not to use their sewer, but we're not going to turn off their water. So if they need to use the facilities, they can, and it'll just come out into the hole that someone's working in, and they're used to it, believe it or not. That's just part of the job. We've been doing a lot of public outreach for this project. We actually have a community meeting tomorrow night, and I have flyers. If anybody wants a flyer, raise your hand and I'll give you a flyer. But this just went out to the immediate neighborhood residents so that they could come talk to us before we go out to bid. So if there's any concerns, we can address them. And we also did a mailer that had a questionnaire that people could fill out and just make any comments or special requests, and also wanting to know if people anybody has disabilities or food deliveries or medicine deliveries, so that we can have a registry during construction of any special needs in the community, so that we're cognizant of the people that live there. And also during construction, there'll be signs, and there'll be a phone number on the signs, so if anybody needs to call us, they can, and we can address anything going on. So that's the presentation. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. So this is a defined area at this point. Is this something that will happen in other parts of the city eventually?
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a lot of these projects. So this is kind of a preview of more to come. And we also have the other project that went to the Planning Commission a couple months ago. It's called the Scenic Road Sewer Rehab Project, and it's a similar project down Scenic Road, but it's obviously got a lot more public access concerns, and so there's that project's a little bit different, but similar in that we're pipe bursting to improve the old clay pipes that are cracked.
Well, thank you very much.
Any other questions?
No, but I would like to say thanks to your team.
Yes.
I don't know if Mike Rowe's involved in all of it, but thanks to that team.
Yeah.
Mr. Trainer, we have a weekly vlog, and so we did feature tomorrow night's meeting, and we'd love to put a link on the city site so that residents can be informed of when things are happening. But as the council knows, we work very, very well with your agency, so we're grateful for this presentation.
Yep.
Is there anybody in the public wishing to comment on this item tonight? I don't see anybody. Anybody on Zoom?
No hands raised on Zoom.
This is a receive a report only, so is there any action needed?
No, sir.
I
think there is.
Actually, yeah, there needs to be a motion to authorize.
Authorize issuance of encroachment permit. All right, well, we have a motion to that effect.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Yeah, any other discussion? No, could you call the roll?
Sure. Councilmember Barron?
Yes.
Councilmember Dramoff?
Yes.
Councilmember Ferlito?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Richards?
Yes.
Mayor Potter?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Excellent. That moves us on then to consideration of recommendation of the Rule 20A Ad Hoc Committee to adopt Resolution 2024-01N1, establishing the Del Mar Underground Utility District and authorizing the Del Mar Utility Undergrounding Project utilizing Rule 20A work credit allocation. Bob. Oh, yeah. Welcome.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. I'll wait for the slides to come up here.
Stephen, can you show the presentation in the chambers? Thank you.
Patrick?
Still the clicker? We'll have to build him for that.
I can just click over it. Just next. Chasing him down.
Classic.
So we'll get started. So basically, I'm gonna run through a presentation for Resolution 2024-091, and this would be establishing the Del Mar Underground Utility District and authorizing the Del Mar Undergrounding Project utilizing PG&E Rule 20A work credits. So a little background on Rule 20. So this program was established in 1967 by the California Public Utilities Commission, establishing an electric tariff, which they named Rule 20 to enhance aesthetics throughout different municipalities or cities. This rule contains three separate programs: Rule 20A, 20B, and 20C. 20A is funding for underground projects from taxpayers' electric bills for projects, and the projects must provide benefits to the public. 20B is more of a project that it's private and public kind of come together, and it's really meant for subdivision development, so that developers get credits through PG&E for those developments. And then 20C is geared for smaller projects that are privately funded. Historically, I guess it's good to point out that most of these projects happen in more densely populated areas, and generally take about a decade to implement and go through full construction. So within that 20A program, there's active communities and inactive communities, and right now Carmel-by-the-Sea is currently in the inactive category. So again, in 2022, we got notice that we had an allocation of 986,646 credits. As you can see on the slide, we got another notification that 175,000 of those credits were reallocated to an active community, and then we got a further notification in late 2023 that another 143,000 plus or minus credits were removed from the allocation to Carmel and were directed to a different community. So currently, as we stand, we have a total of 667,639 work credits available. So this is a little bit of a time frame of how the Rule 20A program has progressed. So effectively, as of 2023, the CPUC discontinued the allowment of credits. So they basically put a halt to providing communities with any additional credits. At the same time, they required electric providers to come up with a Tier 2 letter, which is a plan forward, and that letter is due this December 2024. So PG&E must provide a letter to the CPUC with a plan for this allocation. And the last bullet point here points out that the CPUC intends to do away with this entire program by 2033. I mean, that date is still a little gray. You know, it's not completely defined, but that's the intent. Here is a list of how Carmel-by-the-Sea can become an active community. The first steps were taken in November of last year. We presented the Del Mar parking lot to council, and as a result, there was an ad hoc committee that was formed with Councilmember Dromoff and also Mr. Barron here. Over the past year, we've visited the sites. We've done a couple meetings. We even in October 7th of 2024, we held a public meeting here where we invited members of the community, and we actually had a pretty good turnout. So that brings us to where we're at now. We have to, council, as a result of this public hearing, needs to adopt the resolution establishing the district. Once this resolution gets approved, then staff can go to PG&E and notify them and then provide them with the approved resolution, thus beginning the process of transitioning us from inactive to an active community. And good to point out that at that point we become an active community and the credits remain, at that point they get locked and we can move into the planning phase of the project. This slide here identifies the area that is tentatively, and I say tentatively, the scheduled to be the underground district. It extends from San Antonio west along Ocean, and the affected properties, or the properties within the district, are all those on the south portion of Ocean Avenue, and then there's that one on the, I guess, northeast corner as well. So qualifying characteristics for this is that it passes through public recreation areas, Carmel Beach and North Dunes. These streets carry high volumes of pedestrian and vehicular traffic, which is also important for PG&E. And it also enhances wheelchair accessibility, so it complies with some ADA requirements that they have. This location has already been vetted by PG&E, so they've reviewed it, and they're in agreement that this is a good project to move forward. It's an estimated to remove 10 poles and approximately underground 800 lineal feet of utilities, which include potential for communication lines and PG&E lines. Anything that's above, as you can see in one of those pictures, is just view shed. It's also important to point out that property owners within this district would be responsible for the design and undergrounding of these utilities within their property line. So that can range anywhere between $20,000 to $30,000 depending on the improvements of the site, and you know that you get a little better estimates as you get more further along in the process. And once we approve the resolution, also the city is not fixed to this district. There is the possibility for minor adjustments, but we do recommend that this is one of the districts that's pushed forward. And again, the recommendation is that and this is a considered recommendation from the ad hoc committee to adopt resolution 2024-094, establishing the Del Mar Underground Utility District and authorizing the Del Mar Utility Undergrounding Project utilizing Rule 28 work credit allocation. And I'll open it up for questions.
Any questions, Javier?
Thank you, Mayor. Javier, thank you for the presentation. I've got two questions for you. So if you could tell the public the number of homeowners who we're talking about, and then how many of them have you actually been able to contact?
So it's 7 properties that are along the south end of Ocean Avenue, and we've done an enormous amount of outreach, like flyers. We've actually gone multiple times to knock at their doors. I think we've been successful in, I want to say maybe three property owners that we've been able to contact and notify about this project.
Okay, and then my other question is, there was some interest when we had our ad hoc committee of some neighboring residents that are on Scenic between Ocean and 8th, and they're interested in doing undergrounding, and they would like to, pay for it out of their own pocket. Is there a possibility of doing like a secondary type group and area so that they could maybe piggyback on this, not with the funds, not with the Rule 20A funds, but just so that the whole work could be done around the same time?
Right, and that comes with, once we move into the planning stage of this project, there's a potential for some of these homes probably are already underground, or it might be more practical for PG&E to remove an adjacent pole that's maybe down 8th, down, what is it, Scenic?
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to go all the way up to San Antonio. So that boundary does have the potential for adjustments. It's not set in concrete. So once it gets into the planning stage, we'll know a little bit more of the flexibility with that. And there is potential for other programs, but as I mentioned, our credit allowance is only $600,000+.
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions of Javier by council? Let's see if we can open it up for public comment.
So if you've been able to actually contact 3, is it that they may be outer town owners, or do we send letters to them?
We do. We send flyers. We send notifications. We actually have left flyers on their doors. One of the visits, we contacted one of the renters, and the renter made contact with the property owner. It's just hit and miss.
Yeah.
So it's been a little bit of a task to get a hold of the ones we have gotten a hold of.
Okay, and you said it could take up to 10 years?
Right, depending on this is a PG&E ran project, so I think we're all familiar with the way PG&E operates. So, we've seen projects last even north of 10 years.
And then once those poles were removed from that asphalt walkway down to the restrooms, that would be repaired?
Right, we'd set conditions for repair. It'd probably get repaired during the project, so it'd probably be built into that project.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions by council? Yeah, we all open it up to the public. Is there anybody in the public wishing to speak to this item tonight? Do come forward.
I have one question for him. Are there any of the other properties affected represented here tonight? No. Okay. So I am it.
You are. Could we get your name for the record?
I have no idea what the opinions are or what the information passed on to them is. I have been in digital contact with the property owner above us. We are Ocean 3 southwest of Scenic, which is the second house up from the corner of the beach. And they are up in the Modesto area, and we're not able to come down for this meeting, but I'm not sure what any of the other owners know or what their level of interest is.
Can we get your name for the record, sir? Can we get your name, sir?
Mr. Sea-Nymph, tell them his house is Sea-Nymph. Can you, for the record, can you just tell us your name, please, sir?
Yes, the name is Helene. Yeah, it's owned by my wife. It is in a trust. And so, again, it's the gray house, second up from the beach on the south side.
And this gentleman has been involved, so we did make contact with him, and he's come to, we had one meeting that was canceled, unfortunately, but we've been working with him. And I think that kind of to reinforce the point that he's making, number one, the importance of establishing the district is that we need to do it by the end of the calendar year, or we're at risk of losing additional funds. Mm-hmm. So I think, again, I won't speak on behalf of the ad hoc, but that's the goal of tonight's agenda item. But what we promised the ad hoc and the community members who were in attendance at our last ad hoc meeting is that we would continue to do outreach and education, just to ensure that those property owners know that there would be the cost of a service lateral work after this project was done. So again, it's all about communication and outreach, and I think, again, it also reinforces Councilmember Dramoff's comments as well. So thank you, sir.
Sure.
Anybody else wishing to testify today? Nobody on Zoom?
There's no hands raised on Zoom.
We'll bring it back to council and for direction. Council members.
Mr. Mayor, I'm concerned, as I was a year ago when we formed the ad hoc committee to give us some time to reach the homeowners, is that we are having problem as a city on this issue and other issues. For example, the tree that was on private property that we couldn't get a hold of the property owner to get it cut down. We need to find a better way to reach second homeowners. This is just, we've had a year. I know staff has gone out, knocked on doors, left flyers, but it's not working because there are people who are not here. And we really need a better way. I don't know if that means coordinating better with the assessor's office, because obviously these people must be paying their property taxes, otherwise they would be losing their property. So we need to find some better way to communicate and reach out to second homeowners. Once again, I still have the same concerns that I had a year ago. Once we form this district, these homeowners are going to be forced to go along with this, and there might be the possibility that someone doesn't want to do it or may not have the finances to be able to do it. And I just want to read two sections from the resolution that we're going to be voting on today. One is section 2, says that all fronting property owners shall be notified by first-class letter, postage prepaid, of the schedule for conversion of all utility line service lines. I would like to at least request that we send them a registered letter. So if we could modify the resolution just to change it into a registered letter. We're only talking about a handful. It's a very small amount of money that it would make. And then section 5, this emphasizes really what these homeowners are getting into. So if you don't mind if I just read this paragraph. Upon notification as specified in section 2, all property owners in the Del Mar Underground Utility District shall have underground electrical entrance facilities installed and inspected pursuant to the city's electrical code within 60 days, and that should any property owner fail to install satisfactory underground electrical entrance facilities by the date specified in the notice, the electric utility shall notify the Director of Public Works, who shall within 30 days direct the electric utility in writing to discontinue electrical service to the property without recourse pursuant to Rule 11 until electrical entrance facilities are ready to accept underground electrical conductors and have passed the necessary inspection requirements. So this is a really serious thing that we're getting into. So I just once again want somehow us to notify these property owners these responsibilities, not only the financial for doing this, but if they don't do it, they're going to lose their electrical service. So thank you.
Staff, any staff comment on this?
I'm committed. I think this, this goes along with one of, I don't think I'm belying trust of closed session, but one of, and I've talked to my colleagues, one of my goals for the next review period is continuing to better communicate with our community, and whether that's from the social media standpoint as well as I think what Councilmember Dramoff is referring to. So I commit to you, Council, that we'll continue to try to find better ways of communicating, especially with people who aren't here all the time, and I'm dedicated to doing that. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So what we need to do then is adopt a resolution. Do we have a motion to that effect?
Yes. I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-91, establishing the Del Mar Underground Utility District and authorizing the Del Mar Utility Undergrounding Project utilizing Rule 20A work credit allocation.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any other discussion? Nova?
Councilmember Barron?
Yes.
Councilmember Dramoff?
Yes.
Councilmember Ferlito?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Richards?
Yes.
Mayor Potter?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Okay, then we'll move on then to first reading and introduction of ordinance number 2024-002, amending Charter 61036.010 of the City of Carmel-by-the-Sea Municipal Code by adding subsection 1 under section C.
Can we get the presentation screen up again?
Good evening, Council.
You're in the dark.
Yeah, kind of hard to finish reading this. All right.
Well,
Go
tonight, I don't know if we waived the first reading, so I'm just giving a presentation, correct? Is that,
You do the presentation first.
okay, thank you. Tonight, I'm going to give a presentation on AB 413 and the proposed ordinance that we, staff recommended and was approved by council in the October council meeting. And I'll do a quick review of the ordinance. For those who missed the May Traffic Safety Committee meeting, or the August Traffic Safety Committee meeting, or the October council meeting.
The clickers.
Oh, it's right here. We got it back. Good. I don't have to take a police report. If we recall, this was a law that was passed October 2023 by Governor Gavin Newsom. It became effective January 1st, 2024, with the allowance for this year of 2024 for cities to implement a plan and provide warnings for motorists. This law becomes effective January 1st, 2025. It is a law known as the Daylighting Bill, which is aimed to improve visibility for both pedestrians and drivers. So what is daylighting? Daylighting refers to the practice of keeping a clear zone of specific distance on the approach side of an intersection or crosswalk. This law recommends that you have 20 feet, not recommends, it tells you you must have 20 feet from the approach side. Unless you have a curb bulb out, then it's only 15 feet. The law allows you to have other options besides making it a red zone with no parking. It allows for bicycle and electric vehicle scooter parking in that same space, or making it a 20-minute commercial loading zone. There's two requirements to this, though, if you do it. You must authorize commercial vehicle loading and unloading by ordinance, and that's why we're here tonight. We're giving you the first reading of this ordinance. And then we have to identify those intersections in the ordinance, and then you have to mark them with paint and proper marking. If you recall, in October, we presented you with a plan of providing you 39 commercial loading zones downtown, but only 34 of those require this ordinance because they are in the zones that are part of the daylighting. The other 5 are mid-block or not on a corner. So we have 34 downtown and then 11 additional outside of the downtown area in the rest of the city, which my math is correct. It's 45 commercial loading zones, which match the ordinance that we have for you tonight. This is just a map of what our downtown looks like right now with all the 30-minute zones, what it will look like when we make these paintings and we paint the curbs either red, yellow for commercial loading, or we identify them as bicycle zones. And then if you expand this out for the rest of the city, you can see additional red zones and commercial loading zones throughout our city. So in total, we have 45 intersections that we need to identify, which is in the ordinance before you. So the recommendation is we request the city attorney read the title of the ordinance only, and then waive the reading in full and introduce ordinance number 2024-002, amending chapter 10.36010 of the Carmel-by-the-Sea Municipal Code, adding subsection 1 under section C, identifying commercial loading zones to comply with CVC 22500 and Assembly Bill 413, the daylighting bill. And I think I just took our city attorney's thunder. Thank you.
Chief, I've got a question. First, thank you again for all your work on this. Would it be possible for us to revisit this in either 6 months or a year, depending what time frame you think is better, to just see how this is working and if there are any slight changes we may need to make, or just to get some public feedback on what they think and if there's anything that needs to be done differently?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good point. I think that's what we had recommended in October, was allowing the Traffic Safety Committee to hear the recommendations that the public might have, maybe making a request for additional bicycle parking, or a spot where maybe accident data requires us to change one of these commercial loading zones to a red zone. Mm-hmm. All things we can change. The only thing we have to do for council is bring any of these commercial loading zones to you for an ordinance change. So if we take any of these commercial loading zones out, or add any, we have to come back to you with an ordinance request and a
Okay.
modification.
So if people, through the months that go by, have a specific area, for example, that they think there's a concern, to just take it to the Traffic Safety Committee or contact you?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
In that vein, because Councilmember Dramoff asked me that, it's always, one of the most difficult things is getting commercial property owners and business owners to our meetings because they're running a business during the day. That's why we mix up the times when we meet, obviously, even though we did extensive outreach and education. But it's not until things change that we hear the feedback. So our ears will be, we all walk the village on a regular basis. So when we hear feedback, we can share that we'll be revisiting this and monitoring, and then obviously meeting with people at their will, and bringing any changes back to you in the future, Council Member.
I have a question as well. I'm concerned that how are we going to actually monitor those 20-minute commercial zones and make sure they are not sitting there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours? And I know we are low on traffic enforcement at this time, and I'm very concerned because I see a lot of very big vehicles in commercial loading zones that stay there longer than you would think they would need to unload or whatever. So what are we going to do as far as enforcing this?
We still have one parking enforcement officer. We also have our police officers who do issue citations and can help monitor that until we rebuild our staffing, which we're advertising and we're hoping to get filled by the time these curbs get painted, and we'll have more enforcement out there. But the 20-minute we're going to treat very much like the 30-minute zones. With our electronic metering, we can mark those tires and then come back around. If they're still there after 20 minutes, they're subject to a ticket, just like they would in a 30-minute zone.
And then are they subject to a second ticket if they are still there?
Yes, in our village, we can do multiple tickets. If a car's parked over 2 hours or over 30 minutes, they can continue to get subsequent tickets.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Open up the public then. Is there anybody in the public wishing to speak at this item tonight? Is everybody on Zoom? No.
There's no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay. Bring it back then to council for direction.
Well, I was very happy to hear Alessandra ask the question if it can be monitored and changed, and I think that's really important because we may find there are some, areas that will need additional painting. So I was very happy to hear that.
Good. Termite.
You got it.
Thank you very much.
Termite?
All right, well, why don't we go to Council and City Attorney, would you please read the title of the ordinance?
Yes, I can do that. It's ordinance number 2024-002, an ordinance of the City Council of Carmel-by-the-Sea, amending Chapter 10.36.010 of the Carmel-by-the-Sea Municipal Code by adding Section 1 under Section C, identifying commercial loading zones to comply with CVC 22500 and Assembly Bill 413, the daylighting bill. And then the appropriate motion at this point would just be to a motion to waive further reading and introduce the ordinance. You don't have to read the whole title again.
You also move.
I'll second it.
Motion is second. Is there any other discussion? No.
Councilmember Barron?
Yes.
Councilmember Dramoff?
Yes.
Councilmember Ferlito?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Richards?
Yes.
Mayor Potter?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, that completes our work. Unless we have something we'd like to put on future agendas at this time, do we have anybody wanting to add? Okay, good. We'll go to the closed session then. Counselor, do you want to read us in?
Yes, we're going to go into closed session now. It'll be a conference with labor negotiators that's authorized by Government Code Section 54957.6. The agency designated representatives are Mayor Pro Tem Richards and the City Attorney. The unrepresented employee is the City Administrator. Yes, for public comment.
All righty. Okay, so is there anybody in the public wishing to speak to this item? I don't see anybody. All right. We're going into closed session. Those who need to stay, please do. Those who don't, vacate the presidency.
Actually, you guys